into episode 3 of Take Your Marks. It's been a remarkable week for two young swimmers qualifying for the Olympic Games at the Auckland Championships over the weekend. Young Erika Fairweather, 16 years of age, qualifying in the women's 400-metre freestyle. And Taranaki's own Zach Reid, following in his father's footsteps and qualifying in the men's 800 metres, and in doing so establishing a New Zealand record of 7 minutes 53.5. We will catch up with Erika, we'll catch up with their coach Lars. This episode too, we're also going to put the spotlight and focus on open water swimming. That season is well and truly underway, and the New Zealand Open Water Championships are taking place in Taupo in the middle of January. Davin Bray will join us from Swimming New Zealand. We're also going to have a look at water safety, such an important time of year, and some really important messages. So sit back and enjoy all of this. Let's go back and reflect on the performance of Erika Fairweather. Erika Fairweather, congratulations heading to the Tokyo Olympics. How does that feel?
Oh, I'm super stoked. Yeah, it's pretty undescribable, really.
Did you believe off the back of the 200-metre performance that the form was there to suggest you could qualify in the 400?
Yeah, I guess I knew I could do it, so I just went into the race with positive thoughts, I guess.
How do you set up that 400? Is it about even through the first 200 and then that third 100 picking it up? What was the strategy?
Yeah, definitely controlling the first 100 is important for me, and then backing up with the second and third 100.
Now you always look so relaxed, but I understand you were hurting a lot during that.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest of races. I think the nerves got to me a little bit, but I'm glad I just got the job done, I guess.
You missed that 200 by 1/10 of a second. Was that disappointment, or was that a surprise that you got so close?
I think it was a bit of both. I mean, it's always hard when you miss it by such a small margin, but it was still a PB, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Now, Lars tells me that over Christmas you've got a swim session on Christmas morning and then breakfast, and then you get 2 days out of the pool. Yeah. How lucky are you?
Oh, crazy. Super excited.
And what about Mum and Dad? Big supporters of yours?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, couldn't do it without them.
What is it about living in Dunedin? Why is Dunedin so successful at swimming?
I don't know. I think it's just such a cool wee place to train. Everyone trains together. There's no separate clubs. It's just really good.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Lars, congratulations. Erika Fairweather through to the Olympic Games. How does that feel as a coach?
Oh, it's pretty satisfying. I've been fortunate to have been on Olympic teams before, but you're only as good as your next Olympics, not the past one. So, and for someone like Erika who dedicates herself so well to swimming, it's a real achievement. Yeah, pretty proud.
16 years of age, what makes her so remarkable? What gives her that X factor?
She's pretty mature in terms of training and how she goes about training, very dedicated, never misses workout. If school gets in the way, then she shifts her session, never tells me she's going to miss a session, always tells me how she's going to make the session up. And I think that those little things really, really do make a difference when it comes to this end and you're looking for half a second under a time rather than over a time. It's that kind of dedication and attitude that makes the difference.
Yeah, the difference between good athletes and great athletes is often the top 2 inches. Such maturity for such a young lady.
Yeah, it just seems to come natural to her, although she's probably working really, really hard at it. But I think she's just very determined and knows what she wants and wants to make sure she gets it right. She was saying she was hurting a bit in that 400 yesterday, and but on the last 50 she didn't come all the way to Auckland to not do the time. And I think that sort of sums it up really.
In terms of dealing with bad days, every athlete has bad days. Often the harder you train, you have some more bad days.
Sure.
Is she good at putting that to one side?
Yeah, there's a moment where she'll be pretty tough on herself and give herself a bit of a hard time, but she moves on quite quickly.
What is it, having qualified before Christmas, Tokyo in July, what does that now mean in terms of her preparation, her build-up?
I just think now you just have a different mindset. You know, you are now preparing for the big show rather than really trying to work out how to make the time. So if we were climbing a mountain, it's sort of like we're on the summit now, and we're looking at the next mountain to climb, you know, so we've already achieved something really big, and it gives us confidence to climb that next mountain. And it's a different climb, you know, it's a more controlled climb, I think, and start to take confidence from what we've done.
Yeah, look, at 16 though, I mean, sometimes you go, hey, I've got to the Olympics, and I guess you can rest on your laurels a little bit. Is there a danger here with her at all, or is it now about pushing forward and going for Lauren Boyle's record and making finals?
Most definitely, yeah. I would imagine Erika, if you spoke with her, she would be, whether she'd want to share it all or not, but she would be very clear in her mind about what the next step's going to be, and we always seem to be on the same wavelength with that.
It's also a great reward, I mean, for yourself and your coaching staff, but also for her mum, who's been a big supporter of hers.
Yeah, both mum and dad are big supporters of Erika, and she's got some really close family friends who are really there all the time. She's people within our training program that also are very, very supportive. The whole community, Dunedin's a good community like that, and I think the whole swimming community have got behind Erika, and she feels the support there. And definitely the coaches. Yeah, I don't do this on my own. I'm fronting it right at the moment, but in particular Kurt Croslin, who's my associate coach and is back at the Otago Champs as we speak. Couldn't do it without him. And our other staff, all our coaches who fill in when I'm away, and when we get together and talk about coaching, talk about training sets and those little adjustments that you make, observations that they see that I maybe don't see, all adds to the melting pot.
What is it about Dunedin? Daniel Loader, now Erika Fairweather. What's in the water?
I think what it is in Dunedin, it's a great town to live in when you really focused on something. Everything's in close proximity. We don't spend a lot of time in traffic, as you do up here. And it's got a community spirit. It's a big enough place to be a city in its own right, but it also small enough that you have a bit more of that small community mind, and I think that really helps get the best out of people. We have really good pool space and time with the Dunedin City Council, and Moana Pool is still revered as one of the nicer pools, even though it's 55 years old now, in the country. And I think also because there's a bit of a Mr. Lang tradition with the likes of Daniel Loader and people like Brett Naylor going back even further, 76 Olympics. What that does is it shows you the way, and you believe that you can do it in Dunedin because people before you have done it.
Just finally, the night before qualifying for the 400, missed out on the 200 by 1/10 of a second. Was that disappointing, or was it more of a surprise that she got that close?
For me, I wasn't expecting it to be as close as that. I know she's capable of it, but just the way we've trained recently, so the 400 is the one where we were more prepared for. Not that we were ill prepared for the two, but about 120 metres into that 200 race, I suddenly realised, the 200 was looking pretty good. I know Erika was a little bit disappointed after the 200 because she only missed it by a 10th, but she also took a lot of confidence from that to PB in the 2 by half a second, in an event that she'd won the World Junior Champs a year before. Was a good place to start for the 400.
How does Christmas, Boxing Day and New Year look for Erika Fairweather?
Oh, she can have a little bit of time off, but only a little bit. We swim Christmas Eve morning, we have a team breakfast, and then we're back in the pool on Monday the 28th, and in a sort of a home camp, really, going to work hard for 2 weeks, and then there's a bit of a treat. We go and do a little tour of Central Otago and do a few mini clinics for the local kids, and finish off with a race in Queenstown. So lots of things to look forward to.
A remarkable achievement by Erika Fairweather, and congratulations to her coach Lars. Doesn't he speak well? Doesn't he come across well? Our Olympic athletes are in great hands as we head to Tokyo. Look, in future editions, we will try and catch up with Zach Reed too. Cannot underestimate his performance in qualifying for that 800 metres. Now, his father, Byron, as I mentioned earlier, qualified for the Commonwealth Games in Auckland back in 1990. Finished 10th in the 100 and 4th in the 4x100 relays. So great to have that succession plan happening amongst the Reed family. Well, we're heading well and truly into summer, aren't we? And open water swimming has started. You've got the Banana Boat Series happening around the country. And of course, New Zealand swimming has the New Zealand Open Water Championships in Taupo in January. So to talk a little bit more about this, is the events manager for Swimming New Zealand, Dale Johnson.
No, so I think this is the 12th edition of the Epic Swim and the New Zealand Open Water Swimming Championships down in Taupo, and we're really excited to be heading back down there early in January or mid-January, as you said. it is an event that obviously caters for the elite swimmers that you mentioned, and those that are wishing to try and progress into international stage as well. But we've also got the recreational swim, which is the epic swim, and that has multiple distances that starts with 100 metres and 500 metres for kids right up to the 10K as well. So we're really catering for quite a range of experienced or learning to swim, or you're new to the sport, just want to enjoy the recreational side of things.
And I guess the nice thing about Taupo, geographically, it probably is a good location for people right around the country. But the nice thing about a freshwater swim in a lake, you're not having to deal with tides so much.
Yeah, not so much the tides, and it's fresh water as well, which can obviously make a fair difference as well. And it's quite an iconic location as well, given that it's the largest lake in the Southern Hemisphere, I believe. And obviously with the mountains in the background, also quite a scenic location.
Yeah, and so over the 2 days, how many people are you expecting? How many people would you like to see?
I would love to see up to about 1,000 people across the combination of the events, which is probably just a little bit up from last year. So we're absolutely aiming for an increase. Numbers are pretty even as to last year's entries at this stage. So obviously looking forward to trying to get a little bit more people out for the weekend in the summer. Obviously, hopefully the weather's great and it'll be a good turnout.
Taupo, it's also staged for New Zealand Ironman, so I guess an opportunity for those triathletes building up to that event to come down in a race situation, go through the nerves, get into Lake Taupo, get into a wetsuit and experience freshwater swimming. Yeah,
it's roughly 2 months before the Ironman in March, and it is on the same course. So it is really a good opportunity for a lot of the local athletes that are building up towards March to actually have a swim on the course.
Now, are there restrictions on using wetsuits versus non-wetsuit?
There's the restrictions for those that are entering the elite one or the open water championships, but for those in the epic swim, there's no requirement there's no temperature difference. You can wear a wetsuit, whatever the temperature. So.
It's amazing how the wetsuits, from an age group point of view, have sort of revolutionised open water swimming, given people the confidence to get out there and swim in the open water.
Yeah, they make a big difference, and it also just helps you float a little bit as well. So it makes it a little bit more buoyant and helps you just get through the water a little bit quicker.
Is there anything up for grabs other than a national title for those competing at the elite level?
No, we've got a relay trophy as well that Teamline have been supportive of, our partner. So they're offering that with the relays for the best club. But other than that, no, it's just the championship titles are up for grabs.
The nice thing about open water swimming, no lane ropes.
Yeah.
One of the other dangers is, of course, no black line to follow. You're going to have to lift your head and you're going to have to navigate yourself. But you can sit on the feet. You can sit on the hip of another swimmer. You can enjoy the wash, or what I like to call a drag coefficient, and get sort of sucked along a little bit.
Yeah, it's like on the bike as well, just sort of get in the streamline a little bit, just help you out.
Yeah. Now, how do people enter?
So you can enter for the elite side of things, you can enter on your fast lane, as you would for all your pool events as well. And if you're interested in swimming in the Epic, please go to epicswim.co.nz is the website, and you can enter from there.
And that's epicswim.co.nz, and they can enter all different events on that website.
Yeah, all the different distances are all available through the website.
So if you're a family wanting to participate, is there something there for the kids? You did mention at the start.
Yeah, there's the shorter distances. There's a 100 metre and a 500 metre for the young kids under the age of 10, sort of the 7 to 10-year-olds, and then it starts to go up towards the 1 kilometre, 2.5 kilometres. So there is quite a different varied amount of distances to try and cater for everyone.
And we do encourage everybody to try and get along to those New Zealand Open Water Championships. Clearly, it's not just for the elite athletes. There are events across both the 16th and 17th that cater for all levels, all abilities. And certainly the wetsuits, I think, have revolutionised open water swimming, haven't they? Given athletes that buoyancy, that confidence, maybe removed a few technical deficiencies that people might have. So events from 100 metres right through to 17 kilometres. Also do check out the calendar for the Banana Boat New Zealand Ocean Swim Series, oceanswim.co.nz. Scott Rice and the team been running that now, since the early 2000s. Events right around the country, also catering for all distances. Right, the final part of this episode of Take Your Marks, we're going to put the spotlight and focus on water safety. Davin Bray, who heads up water safety for New Zealand Swimming, now joins me on the program to talk about what they've been doing, what they're planning for 2021, and just a couple of reminders for everybody out there as we do head into the summer.
Hi Mark, how are you?
Good, thank you. Look, explain the role that Swimming New Zealand has in the water safety space.
Sure. So we have a team of educators based around the country, and we deliver water skills for life to primary school children in schools with pools. Basically, we'll do an after-school session with the teachers, generally at their staff meeting, and then we'll go and support them on the pool side and teach them what water skills for life and water safety is in general. Show them how to teach their kids so they've got something to work on for the remainder of the summer.
I understand in 2020, in the past 6 months, you've reached 1,800 teachers.
Yep.
How many kids?
That works out to be about 60,000 kids. So our target for this year, we're looking to get to about 200,000 kids. Most school pools typically open sort of, depending on where you are in the country, mid to late November. So they only really get 4 or 5 weeks in the pool prior to Christmas, but every school pool will be open term 1 next year.
Mm. And what is the key to water safety? Is it just a simple case of learning how to do freestyle?
No, not at all. Water safety is anything but learning how to do freestyle. It's more around learning how to float, how to roll from front to back, how to kick, or propel yourself through the water, sculling, stuff like that. Technical swimming is something that comes a little bit later on in someone's swimming journey.
I'd imagine too, you'd probably do a lot of work in that area of just trying to teach kids to relax if they do find themselves in danger.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really important if they do fall in the water by accident that they're able to float, raise their arm for help, or just generally stay in the water for a period of time until help does arrive.
I'd imagine the teachers appreciate what you're doing too, because it's a space that clearly a lot of people are not that familiar with, and it probably falls outside of their curriculum.
Yeah, absolutely. Teachers typically don't get a lot of water safety education at trainings college. So they are relatively scared of the thought of swimming because they believe it's freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly. It's not that at all. It's quite easy to teach up to 30 kids water skills for life in a pool. So we're really just educating them that it's actually not hard, and most of them are very appreciative and enjoy the experience.
We live in a very multicultural society, different backgrounds, different religions. You've got your Pacific community, your Asian community, Māori, European. Do you have to adjust your communication style accordingly?
You do to a certain extent. It doesn't really matter where you're from, what age, what ethnicity, you all drown. So the simple message is the same. We do a lot of work in low decile schools. South Auckland, for instance, has got a huge amount of programs out there just trying to educate people. But drowning doesn't care where you come from or who you are. So we try to get to everyone that we can.
Now, a lot of people heading to beaches and rivers and streams and waterfalls, etc. We always read about them over the summertime. Some key messages for parents, key messages for youngsters.
Look, I think the key message is really for parents to watch their children. Very, very hard for a child to drown if a parent is actively watching them within arm's reach if they're sort of under 5 or 6 years old. Active supervision doesn't mean sitting up the beach having a beer, cooking a barbecue. It means standing in the water's edge or in the water with your children and hopefully having fun. As far as going to a beach, you can Google a beach and potential dangers. If there's a patrol there, swim between the flags. It's always the safest place to swim on a beach. And lifeguards typically pay more attention to the flagged area than they do outside of the flagged area.
People watching this or people who might pass this message on, is there a particular website people can go to again, take those first steps in terms of gaining greater understanding or putting their kids into a water safety program?
Yeah, sure. The 4 sector partners, I guess you could go to Water Safe NZ's website, our Swimming New Zealand website, there's Surf Life Saving New Zealand, and also Coast Guard New Zealand, all who are heavily involved in water safety.
Davin Bray, I do encourage you to take care over the holidays. That she'll be right attitude, well, it's quintessential New Zealand, but it's not always the smartest thing when you are around water. So please look out for each other. Do take care. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this edition of Take Your Marks. On behalf of myself and the team at Swimming New Zealand and the wider swimming community, have a great Christmas, and we look forward to catching up in the new year.